The phone slipped from my hand, clattering against the kitchen tile like a gunshot in the dead of night. My father's voice echoed in my ears, tinny and unrepentant through the speaker. "She's your half-sister, Elena. Blood is blood. You owe it to the family to take her in." Owe it. The word ignited a firestorm in my chest, a blaze of fury that scorched my throat and blurred my vision. I stared at the cracked screen, his name glowing like a curse. Years after he'd shattered our world, cheating with my mother's own sister, driving Mom into a catatonic shock that landed her in the hospital for months. He had the audacity to demand I raise the child born from his betrayal, the illegitimate fruit of his affair, now orphaned by Aunt Lydia's sudden overdose. My hands trembled as I gripped the counter, nails digging into the cold granite until they ached. How dare he? But beneath the rage, a darker whisper slithered in. "This is your chance. Make him pay." I sank to the floor, the chill of the tiles seeping through my jeans, mirroring the ice forming in my veins. Memories flooded back, unbidden and razor-sharp. I was 17 when it happened, home from school early because of a teacher strike. The house smelled of fresh-baked bread, Mom's signature scent, warm and comforting like her hugs. I kicked off my sneakers in the foyer, the rubber soles squeaking faintly on the polished wood. "Mom! Dad!" No answer, but laughter drifted from upstairs, muffled and intimate. My stomach twisted. It wasn't Mom's laugh. Hers was light like wind chimes. This was throaty, flirtatious, Aunt Lydia's. I climbed the stairs on silent feet, heart pounding in my ears like a war drum. The bedroom door was ajar, a sliver of afternoon light spilling out. Pushing it open, I froze. There they were, Dad and Lydia, tangled in the sheets of my parents' bed. Her red hair fanned across the pillow where Mom slept every night. Dad's back was to me, his hand tracing lazy circles on her bare shoulder. Lydia's eyes met mine over his shoulder, widening in shock, but she didn't pull away. Instead, a sly smile curled her lips, as if this were a game I'd interrupted. "Dad!" My voice cracked, barely a whisper, but it shattered the moment. He whipped around, face paling to ash. "Elena! What are you? Get out!" Lydia scrambled for the covers, but her expression held no remorse, only calculation. I stumbled back, bile rising in my throat, and ran downstairs. The world tilted, colors too bright, sounds too loud. I collapsed in the living room, hyperventilating, the floral couch cushions scratching my skin like accusations. Mom came home an hour later, humming a tune from her yoga class, her yoga mat slung over her shoulder. She found me curled on the floor, tears streaking my face. "Sweetie, what's wrong?" Her voice was soft, concerned, her hand cool on my forehead. I couldn't speak at first, the words lodged like shards of glass. When I finally choked them out, "Dad, with Aunt Lydia." In your bed, her face crumpled. Not anger, not screams. Just a slow, silent shattering. She clutched her chest, gasping, eyes glazing over as if her soul had fled. She slid down the wall, whispering, "No, no, no," over and over, until her breaths came in shallow rasps. The ambulance sirens wailed through the neighborhood, red and blue lights painting the house in garish strokes. Paramedics strapped her to a gurney, her body limp, face slack. "Stress-induced catatonia," the doctor later said, his voice clinical in the sterile hospital waiting room. The shock was too much. She might recover, but it could take time. Dad arrived disheveled, Lydia trailing behind like a shadow. He tried to hug me, but I recoiled, the scent of her perfume clinging to him like guilt. "It was a mistake, Elena. Just once." Liar. Lydia hovered by the door, arms crossed, her eyes darting between us. "We didn't mean for this to happen," she murmured, but her tone was flat, rehearsed. That night, in the hospital's fluorescent-lit corridor, I paced like a caged animal. Anger boiled in my gut, hot and viscous, but underneath lurked humiliation. For Mom, for our family turned into a tabloid tragedy. Neighbors whispered. Friends at school averted their eyes. And resentment. It seeded deep toward Dad for his weakness, Lydia for her betrayal of blood ties, and even Mom for her fragility. Why couldn't she fight? Why did she break so easily? I fantasized about storming home, smashing every photo of our happy family, screaming until my voice gave out. But I didn't. Instead, I sat by Mom's bed, holding her unresponsive hand, the beeps of monitors a relentless reminder of our ruin. Weeks blurred into months. Mom lingered in that half-world, staring blankly at the ceiling, fed through tubes while therapists coaxed flickers of response. Dad played the remorseful husband, bringing flowers that wilted untouched, his apologies ringing hollow. "I love your mother, Elena." Lydia was a lapse. But I overheard their late-night calls, his whispers of, "We have to be careful now." Lydia visited once, her makeup flawless, dress hugging her curves. "How's she doing?" she asked, peering at Mom like a specimen. I glared, words tumbling out in a venomous hiss. "Get out. You've done enough." She flinched, but her eyes hardened. "You don't understand, kid. Life's complicated." Complicated. It was betrayal, pure and vile. As Mom slowly emerged, first with blinks, then words, then tentative steps, our home became a minefield. She moved like a ghost, avoiding Dad's gaze, her once vibrant laugh reduced to brittle smiles. They worked through it, couples therapy sessions that ended in slammed doors. Lydia vanished for a while, but rumors swirled. She was pregnant. And child. The confirmation came in a heated argument I eavesdropped on from the stairs. "What do you want me to do, abort it?" Lydia's voice crackled through the phone. Dad sighed, defeated. "No. We'll figure it out." Mom overheard, retreated to her room, and didn't emerge for days. The resentment in me festered, turning to obsession. I lay awake nights, imagining ways to expose them, to make them suffer as Mom had. But I was just a kid, powerless. Or so I thought. Years passed in a haze of forced normalcy. I graduated high school, moved out for college, burying the pain under textbooks and parties. Mom and Dad divorced quietly. She got the house, he an apartment downtown. Lydia gave birth to a girl, Sophia, and Dad paid child support in secret. Mom rebuilt herself, starting a small bakery, her hands kneading dough as if shaping a new life. But the scars remained. Her occasional tremors, the way she'd freeze at family gatherings if Lydia's name surfaced. I built my own life. A marketing job in the city, a cozy apartment with plants that thrived under my care. Relationships came and went, but trust was a fragile thing, shattered early. Then last year Lydia overdosed. Pills, they said, accidental or not. Sophia, now 10, bounced between foster homes until Dad claimed her. But he was aging, his health failing from years of stress and regret. "I can't do this alone," he'd confessed in a rare vulnerable call months ago. "She's a good kid." I hung up seething. Good kid. A living reminder of his sin. And now this demand. "Raise her, Elena. I'm dying cancer. Doctors give me months." His voice had cracked, but I felt no pity, only a cold resolve crystallizing. Guilt flickered. Sophia was innocent, a child caught in the crossfire. But resentment won. This was poetic. The man who'd destroyed our family now begging me to mend his mess. Doubt crept in as I paced my kitchen, the clock ticking like a countdown. Was revenge worth it? Could I stoop to his level? Fantasies swirled. Abandon her, expose his secrets publicly, or worse, make him watch his legacy crumble. I picked up the phone, fingers steady despite the storm inside. "Fine, Dad. I'll take her." My voice was calm, a mask over the brewing vengeance. But in my mind, plans unfurled like dark petals. Take her in, yes, but not for him. Mum. For the years stolen. The pursuit began subtly. A background check on his finances, whispers to old family friends about his indiscretions. Quiet, strategic. He'd never see it coming. The next morning I drove to his apartment, the city skyline blurring past like a bad dream. Rain slicked the streets, mirroring my slick thoughts. Dad opened the door, gaunt and gray, Sophia peeking from behind him, her eyes wide and wary. Lydia's eyes but softer. "Thank you, Elena," he rasped, hugging me awkwardly. I endured it, suppressing the urge to shove him away. Sophia clutched a stuffed bear, her small voice tentative. "Are you my sister?" I nodded, forcing a smile that felt like glass. "Half-sister. Welcome home." As we drove back, her chatter filled the car. Favorite colors, school stories. Innocent prattle that twisted the knife. Guilt gnawed, she wasn't to blame. But every glance in the rearview mirror reminded me of that bedroom scene. The laughter, the betrayal. At home, I set her up in the guest room. The air thick with unspoken history. Mom called that night. "You're really doing this?" Her voice trembled. "For him?" "No," I whispered, staring at Sophia's sleeping form through the cracked door. "For us." Obsession tightened its grip. I'd raise her, but on my terms. Teach her the truth slowly. Let Dad's empire of lies collapse under its own weight. Fear mingled with resolve. What if this consumed me? What if revenge poisoned everything? But the heartbreak fueled me. It was time. Tension simmered in the days that followed. Dad visited weekly. His coughs rattling like chains. We'd sit in my living room, sunlight filtering through blinds and slanted bars, casting shadows that danced like accusations. "She's adjusting well," he'd say, watching Sophia play with puzzles on the rug. I'd nod, biting back words. "Because of me, not you." Inner conflict raged. Part of me wanted to forgive, to heal. But resentment won, whispering plans. I started small, digging into his will, discovering he'd left everything to Sophia, cutting me out. Humiliation flared anew. Ipe. One evening, as rain pattered against the windows, Sophia asked about her mom. "She was complicated," I said, voice even. But inside, fantasies bloomed, telling her everything, watching her turn from Dad in disgust. Doubt halted me. Was this justice or cruelty? Moral lines blurred, but the pursuit pressed on, slow and inexorable. Sophia's laughter echoed through the apartment, a sound that should have warmed me but instead grated like sandpaper on open wounds. It had been 3 months since I'd taken her in, and the girl had woven herself into my routine. School drop-offs in the crisp morning air, the scent of her strawberry shampoo lingering in the bathroom, bedtime stories where her small hand clutched mine. But every innocent question she asked chipped at my resolve. "Why doesn't Grandpa talk about my mom?" Or, "Are you mad at him?" I'd smile, deflect, but inside, the obsession festered. Guilt warred with resentment. She was blameless, yet a vessel for my vengeance. Dad's demands had ignited this, but my own darkness sustained it. I sat at my desk late one night, the glow of my laptop screen casting eerie shadows on the walls. Rain lashed the windows, thunder rumbling like distant artillery. I'd hired a private investigator, discreetly of course, uncovering Dad's hidden assets. Offshore accounts funded by embezzlement from his old firm, payoffs to keep Lydia quiet. The betrayal deepened. Not just infidelity, but financial ruin he'd hidden from Mom during the divorce. Heartbreak surged fresh and raw. How many lies? I printed the documents, fingers trembling as I stuffed them into a folder. This was it, the ammunition for my strike. But doubt crept in, cold and insidious. As I watched Sophia sleep, her chest rising in peaceful rhythm, moral conflict tore at me. Was destroying Dad worth scarring her? Fantasies of justice clashed with fear of becoming the monster. I paced the hallway, floorboards creaking underfoot, the air heavy with the scent of impending storm. Poetic justice, I told myself. Make him confess, beg for mercy. But what if it backfired? What if Mom found out and hated me for it? The next day, I invited Dad over for dinner. The table was set with Mom's old china, a subtle jab he wouldn't miss. Sophia helped chop vegetables, her knife skills clumsy but eager, the kitchen filled with a sizzle of onions and butter. Dad arrived pale, leaning on a cane, his suit hanging loose on his frame. "Smells good," he said, forcing cheer. We ate in tense silence at first, forks clinking against plates like ticking clocks. Sophia chattered about school, oblivious to the undercurrents. After she went to bed, I poured wine. His favorite red, blood dark in the glasses. The living room lamp cast a warm glow, but the atmosphere crackled with suppressed rage. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady despite the fury bubbling beneath. He sighed, setting down his glass. "About what, Elena? I've said I'm sorry 100 times. Sorry doesn't cut it." I slid the folder across the coffee table, papers spilling like accusations. His eyes widened as he scanned them. Bank statements, emails, proof of his deceit. "Where did you get this? Does it matter?" I leaned forward, heart pounding. "You cheated Mom out of everything. And now you dump your bastard on me like I'm the cleanup crew." The word bastard hung heavy, laced with venom. He flinched, guilt etching deeper lines on his face. "I was protecting the family." "Protecting yourself," I spat, humiliation from years ago resurfacing like bile. "You and Lydia destroyed us. Mom in the hospital, me picking up pieces. And for what? Your ego." He rubbed his temples, voice cracking. "Lydia. She seduced me. I was weak. But Sophia, she's innocent." "So was I." The shout escaped before I could stop it, echoing off the walls. Tears burned my eyes, but I blinked them back, resolve hardening. "You demand I raise her, but you cut me from your will. Blood is blood, right?" Sarcasm dripped like acid. His face crumpled, a mix of regret and defiance. "I thought you'd understand someday. Lydia blackmailed me. Threatened to tell everyone if I didn't support her. Lies." But a flicker of doubt. Was Lydia the villain? No, he was complicit. Tension coiled tighter as thunder boomed outside, rain hammering like judgment. "I loved your mother," he whispered, reaching for my hand. I yanked away, the touch scorching. "Prove it. Confess everything to Sophia. Tomorrow." His eyes bulged. "She's a child. It'll destroy her. Like you destroyed me." Cold resolve settled in, obsession peaking. This was the plan. Force his hand, watch him squirm. But guilt twisted. Sophia's face in my mind, trusting and pure. He left defeated, the door clicking shut like a finality. That night, sleep evaded me, inner thoughts a whirlwind. Is this justice or madness? What if he refuses? Fear mingled with anticipation, a slow burn toward climax. Morning dawned gray and drizzly. Sophia bounced into the kitchen, cereal bowl in hand. "Grandpa coming today?" I nodded, throat tight. He arrived at noon, face ashen, carrying a small box. We sat in the living room again, Sophia between us on the couch, her legs swinging innocently. Dad cleared his throat, voice trembling. "Sophia, honey, I need to tell you about your mom and me." He glanced at me, eyes pleading, but I stared back, unyielding. As he spoke, haltingly, of the affair, the betrayal, her face shifted from confusion to hurt. "So, you're my dad. And Elena's aunt was my mom." Tears welled, her small fists clenching. "Yes," he whispered, handing her the box. "This was your mother's. Letters, photos. I kept them hidden." She opened it, rifling through faded pictures. Lydia young and vibrant, Dad smiling beside her. But one photo slipped out, a family shot, Mom included, from before. Sophia's brow furrowed. "Why hide this?" "Because I was ashamed," he admitted, voice breaking. Watching him unravel, satisfaction bloomed, but so did pity. Moral grayness enveloped me. This was revenge, but at what cost? Then the twist. Sophia turned to me, eyes sharp. "You made him tell me, didn't you?" Shock jolted through me. How did she know? "I heard you arguing last night." "Why?" I stammered, guilt crashing like waves. "Because he hurt us. I wanted justice." She stood small but fierce. "But you're hurting me now." She fled to her room, door slamming. Dad rose, glaring. "Happy now? You've become worse than me." His words struck like daggers, doubt exploding into regret. I chased after Sophia, knocking softly. "I'm sorry. I thought." She opened the door a crack, tears streaming. "Mom, Lydia wrote letters. She said Dad forced her into it. Blackmailed her with money." "What?" I grabbed the box from the couch, scanning the letters. Lydia's handwriting desperate. "He threatened to ruin me if I didn't comply. The affair was his idea." Hidden motives unveiled. Dad the manipulator, Lydia the victim? But evidence contradicted. His embezzlement to pay her off. Confusion swirled, but clarity pierced. I'd been blind, fueled by resentment. Obsession had twisted truth. Dad hovered, smirking faintly. "See. Complicated." Rage reignited, but tempered by wisdom. Called Mom, voice steady. "Come over. We need to end this." She arrived, face pale but resolute. In the living room, truths poured out. Dad's full confession, Lydia's letters read aloud. Sophia listened, huddled in Mom's arms. "I was wrong," Dad admitted finally, collapsing into sobs. "Forgive me." Mom shook her head. "No. But we'll move on. To me, revenge isn't justice, Elena. It's poison." The payoff hit. Not destruction but release. I exposed the financial fraud to authorities anonymously. Poetic justice without direct cruelty. Dad faced charges, his empire crumbling, but Sophia stayed with me, bonds forging in honesty. Guilt lingered, but so did growth. The betrayal's shadow lifted, replaced by fragile light. In the end, revenge's twist was its futility. Healing came from truth, not fire. Yet, as I watched Dad leave in handcuffs weeks later, a cold satisfaction whispered, "Blood is blood, but justice is mine."